So, as some of you may know, I am currently working on a project where I hope to write a book that starts from showing that a God exists and then going through and showing that not only does this God exist, it is rational to believe that this is the Christian God, and even further than that, showing that this God is the God that Catholicism teaches, and it is rational to be Catholic. This has been something that I've been kind of working on in the background, off and on, for many years, and I've got like the skeleton of it already written out on how I want to approach it. And I currently have, I think, the argument that I'm going to include in that book on why a God exists. Now, there's still work on it, and when I actually put it into the book, each of these are going to be a lot more fleshed out, but I did want to share what I currently have with y'all to, help share, insight and maybe understanding with you. Now, this argument is divided into four different parts that all link up together. So the first argument is showing that something always had to exist. There always had to be something. So the argument goes, time is the measurement of change. In absolute nothing, so this would be no beings, no change, no potential, there would be no change to measure. Therefore, if absolute nothing existed, time itself would not exist. This means as well that there is no change. A transition from non-existence to existence would be a change, but because there's no time, that means there can't be change. Therefore, absolute nothing could never transition into something. Yet, we observe things existing. Therefore, there was never absolute nothing. Thus, something always existed. Now, before you start celebrating, this does not prove God. All this is saying is that something always existed. Whether that's God, the universe, we don't know yet. All it's saying is that something always existed. Now that we've established that something always existed, we can identify that there are two different types of ways to exist. You are either dependent on something else for your existence, or you are independent, meaning you are not dependent on anything else for your existence. Now, what has always existed must include dependent things, independent things, or some mixture of both. We observe dependent things, therefore we can conclude that not everything is independent. So we've eliminated that possibility. So let's explore the second possibility. Everything is dependent. If everything is dependent, then everything, including the sum total of all things, would require an external explanation. That external explanation would itself be dependent and require further explanation. This creates a vicious infinite regress where we never actually get to an explanation. Therefore, it cannot be that everything is dependent. Therefore, there must be at least one independent thing. Now, before you start attacking this is not saying that therefore God. That's not what this is saying yet. What this is saying is that if the global chain requires explanation, meaning it's a dependent thing, then whatever is explaining it needs to be dependent or independent. If that's dependent, then that requires explanation, and so on and so forth. But if the global chain, aka the universe, doesn't require an external explanation, as some people will assert and claim and believe, then that means that the global chain is the independent thing. Thus, once again, it's not the case that everything is dependent. All I'm showing is that of the three options, we can see from reality that everything being independent conflicts with reality. Everything being dependent leads to that vicious infinite regress. Therefore, there must be something that, at least one thing that is independent, whether that's the universe or something else. Once we've established that, we can then get into the next argument, which is establishing what enables a thing to be independent. An independent thing requires nothing external for its existence. It is therefore sufficient for its own existence from the principle of sufficient reason. Therefore, it always existed. For an independent thing, the claim it does not exist must be a contradiction. For that negation to be a contradiction, its existence must be identical to its identity. The reason for this is a contradiction is when you say that A and not A are both true. A is identifying something. So it is not a contradiction to say that the door is closed when in reality the door is open. That is a case of conflicting evidence. A contradiction would be if I was to say that the door is not a door. So if I say that something does not exist, and that is an inherent contradiction, as is being put forth by the argument that to say that an independent thing does not exist is an inherent contradiction, then that means the phrase exist is equal to the identity of this thing. Therefore, this independent thing's identity is existence itself. Now, the next question is, can there be more than one independent thing whose identity is existence itself? Because the independent thing is pure existence itself, if there were two or more independent things, they would both be pure existence and share exactly the same properties. Two things that share exactly the same properties are identical, not distinct things. Therefore, there can only be one independent thing. This singular independent thing whose identity is its existence is what I, Thomas Aquinas, and other classical theologians and the Catholic Church understand and mean when we say the phrase, God exists. Thank you for listening. I hope this was insightful. Still working on it, and I'm planning on putting it forth to non-believers to see where they disagree and where I need to tighten up some things and offer clarifying language. But hopefully you found this insightful.